All right, going live on video. Stand by for audio. All right, good day, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Live the Fuel show. So this evening, I am recording with another new co-host for you. This one's actually more unique because we talk a lot about networking and the power of connecting people across time zones, country lines, whatever it may be. And this woman, who I'm bringing on today, got connected through a multi-guest co-host. Shout out to the blind blogger himself, Maxwell Ivy. And he helped her get connected with me, and we decided to, get together for you all and have a nice podcast today. So let me give you a little more about her. She's an author and English teacher turned freelancer for hire. Smart move in the entrepreneurship world there. And her life journey is motivational and inspirational. Her book, From Nope to Hope, is a self-help book designed to help anyone who wishes to lead a happier life and contains a built-in workbook. So I like this whole interactive. And for our video feed, she's already showing it up on the screen there. So Lorraine offers 4 different services on Wording Well, her business site, including writing and blogging and editing, consulting, coaching, mentoring. She's got a lot of hats to wear. And so without further ado, besides the fact that she's also helping people become published authors, which we're going to talk about today as well. Welcome to the show, Lorraine.
Thank you for that lovely and a little bit long introduction.
You know what? People don't realize their bios until it gets read.
And that's what happens when you're a person like me who has their toes dipped into so many different areas.
Yes.
I'm involved with the self-help world, the publishing world, the writing and editing world, the blogging world. I mean, there's just so much.
Well, and it's interesting because when I first checked you out, when you got connected to Maxwell, and pardon me, I did not name drop your last name. It is Reguly, right?
Reguly.
Reguly.
Is actually how it's pronounced.
Now, is that more French influence because you are north of the border of me?
No, it's actually a Czechoslovakian name.
Oh, fun.
And no one ever gets it right. No one ever gets it right. I always tell people, think regular or regularly, and just kind of shorten it to Reguly.
BC.
And
when I looked at that was too obvious. So I have to admit, normally I like to confirm. I'm going to do some screen sharing on your site so people can see what I'm talking about on YouTube. So here's your website there for your personal editing site and everything else you're doing next to your business site. But I looked at that and I said, you know what? Reguly is too easy. So I always automatically nowadays, because I've done a little travel, I try and add flair on and make it sound more exotic. So I should have went with the gut. And I normally like to confirm pronunciations beforehand, but I was looking for a challenge today. So I was like, all right, let me see if I can nail this. And I crash and burned.
That's okay. Not too many people get it right.
So how long have you had this site? I mean, this is obviously more personal of you. You don't call this your business site.
No.
Let's pause there. We're getting a little bit of a delay. That's
Oh.
weird. Let me stop sharing and see if that helps your signal up there. We're multitasking, ladies and gentlemen. We're on YouTube. We're doing everything. So there you go.
My
You're back.
internet connection is unstable.
See, there you go. We never know what's going to happen on the internet space. And the funny thing is, for ladies and gentlemen, Lorraine and I are both in the same time zone, just from different countries. And so the funny thing is, it's 7 p.m. at night. Why are we having internet bandwidth this time of the evening? I don't know. Maybe there's a lot of people watching movies right now. But we're trying to podcast people. So how are you doing over there, Lorraine? You're back in the white zone here on Zoom, so this is good.
I seem to be okay now. Maybe you should just not share screens anymore and don't try and do anything fancy.
Yeah, maybe I overloaded your end. I mean,
Could be.
Normally it's upload speeds, not download speeds that are the problem. So, but hey, like you were saying, so how long have you had this site? Why did you... I always tell people when you launch a business, you should always own your name, especially if you decide to create 2 different types of brands or growth opportunities. So you nailed that, right? You have Wording Well and you have Lorraine Reguly. Reguly. I can't get off of that now.
Yeah, so when I first started blogging, I actually started on a free website on WordPress.com.
Classic, many people do.
Yeah, and so after a year, I had several ranking really high on Google, and all my fellow bloggers said, Lorraine, you better get your own site. And so I thought, well, because I was doing freelancing by this point, I thought, well, I should do create a site that was based around words. And so I created Wording Well.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm becoming kind of popular here. Maybe I should get my own domain name before somebody decides to screw me over and take it away from me. So I registered LorraineReguly.com simply because of that. Ryan Biddulph, the blogger from Paradise, somebody did that to him. They created some kind of weird site using his name, and it wasn't, he had nothing to do with it. Yeah. And so I thought, well, gee, I better claim my site, at least LorraineReguly.com, right away. And so once I had the two sites going, I started moving more of my personal posts, which originally were for Wording Well. I moved those over to LorraineReguly.com. And then the other free site that I had started was Poetry Perfected, because I'm also a poet and I enjoy writing poetry in my spare time. And so I imported those. Well, I had to delete the posts and then republish them on my author site.
Oh, really? Wow, that's dangerous, right? Because you're wiping out that keyword history.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't care.
Yeah, especially if you already have followers and recognition.
My main site is Wording Well, and that's where, even like when I first started blogging, all my original posts were imported to that site. And so, if you go back into my history from right when I first started, you'll find all kinds of personal life posts about me. I mean, I talk about my suicide attempt. I talk about my false teeth. I talk about, I reveal all these kinds of secrets about my life on that site. But those were the posts that ended up ranking really high on Google. And so I didn't want to delete them or switch them to a different site, because of their ranking value. But my poetry stuff, I mean, whatever. It's just poetry,
Well, hold on. I have to pause on this because I'm hearing every word you say. There's been no electronic delay here. And for our listeners, we can't let you just pass right over a couple of interesting things. Number one, being a poet, very, very unique, artistic, and expressive. But also, I'm sorry, you just dropped in a little keyword there of suicide attempt. We got to tie that together. We can't move past that. I mean, if you don't mind, is that something that inspired your poetry?
It actually did.
Wow.
What happened? Okay, so I'll just give you a brief rundown of my teenage years. I was 14, just about to turn 15. I was still a virgin, and I was raped.
Wow.
By a man over twice my age. And being brought up in a Catholic household, I was basically taught to save your virginity and marry. And I was a good girl.
Yeah, I mean, class. You're getting delayed there for a second. Hold on a second. Sorry, I know I'm coming through fine, but all of a sudden you're getting choppy. And real quick for our listeners, she was saying how she was a Catholic household, brought up really be a good girl, and this obviously shifted your life, and you're still in the red here. But let's see if we can get that finishing going through there.
So, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I tell you what, hold on, we're going to try an experiment here because I've actually done this to fix this problem before for somebody. Try disabling your camera. That way we just get audio, right? Because now your internet doesn't have to upload video. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are hacking the internet as we speak.
I don't know how to disable my camera.
Oh, so if you move I think it's the same thing on your end. If you move your mouse to the bottom of the Zoom screen, you get all those menu options. And there should be one saying stop video.
Yes.
So click on that.
Okay.
Leave your microphone alone. I still hear you. So let's see if now, without you streaming video, now I'm going to go ahead, and just because I like to screen share anyway, because this should not affect you on your end, I'm going to go ahead and screen share again your site, just to give you some more exposure there as well. Okay. And let's see if this helps at all. Okay, so go ahead and keep going.
Okay, so being raped devastated me. And, this happened back in the mid-1980s where society wasn't as open as it is today. And so I didn't tell anyone, and I didn't feel as though I could tell anyone. And so I tried dealing with the after effects by myself, which clearly...
Without support?
Without support from anyone.
Wow.
Right. And so obviously I was unable to. I mean, I was just a teenager. I didn't know anything. And I ended up started smoking drugs and stuff to try and numb the pain that I was feeling. And I became very depressed, and all I wanted to do was sleep and not face life.
So you were in a state of depression.
Oh, constant state of depression. When school started back up in the fall, I tried going, I tried doing my schoolwork. I just couldn't focus. I couldn't concentrate on anything.
And you were still 14? Or
I was 15 at the time, because I turned, well, the rape happened in June. In August, I turned 15. And then in September, I started school again. And that would have been grade 10, high school.
And nobody knew yet?
And no, nobody knew.
Wow.
In fact, I didn't tell anybody for 8 years.
Wow.
So it was 8 years. And when I was 15, I ended up quitting school, and I started drinking and doing drugs. I looked older, so I started going to bars. And my mindset and my views of love and sex got really messed up. And so I thought,
clearly,
if I'm going to get love, maybe it's like, if I give a guy sex, then he'll love me, or, something along those lines. And so I became promiscuous, looking for love in, all the wrong places, getting picked up at bars, and, basically just letting guys use me.
Oh, because you didn't know any better. You've been trying to heal and fix this on your own.
Right. And, and after a few years of that, that's the weird thinking is actually when I got involved with prostitution. I figured, oh, well, I'm giving this away for free. I might as well get paid for it. At least I'll have something to show for it.
You're blowing my mind right now.
I'm not getting love, so I might as well get money. And that was, but that's the dangerous part of traumatic events, is they screw you up so bad, and they affect your thinking so much that you cannot think rationally unless you end up getting some kind of outside help to deal with your traumatic event.
True.
And this applies whether it's a sexual abuse, like what I suffered was rape, whether it's physical abuse, which both men and women suffer.
Oh God, yeah. I've literally I had a friend years ago. His girlfriend at the time he was like the super nice guy. She was mentally and physically abusive, and him being, trying to be a gentleman, never wanted to respond to the physical, right? Because he didn't want to be taken the wrong way. And I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Like, end this, like, move on.
Yeah, right. And that's exactly it too. There's emotional abuse, psychological abuse. I mean, I went through the psychological abuse with my biological son's father.
Wow.
And yeah, so I mean, there's so many different types of abuse out there that, in dealing and coping with it, it depends on, what you're taught and who you have to talk to about it. If you have no one to talk to, like, you're basically screwed. You need to find someone to talk to. You need to find coping strategies and ways to deal with it and ways to heal. And I mean, unfortunately for me, I lived many, many years without any kind of supports in place. And it wasn't until I became a single mom at the age of 18.
Say that again.
And my cat's destroying things.
I love our Calvin the Coonhound's in the other room. He hasn't said a word yet. I'm very impressed. But what did you say what happened when you're at the age of 18?
Oh, I became a single mom. So
okay.
I gave birth to my son, and I was with his father for a few months after his birth, and then something happened. Basically, our lives were threatened. And I said, okay, get out, just get out. I'm changing the locks. I'm getting rid of your stuff. Like, take your stuff and get out.
Good for you.
And yeah, I wasn't about to put up with that kind of stuff. Wasn't about to put my son through that. That's for sure. And so after,
can we pause on that quick?
Sure.
So do you feel that after all the, obviously you hinted at earlier, it took you 8 years to even mention it or even start looking into getting support or help, et cetera. And obviously, being a young mother, do you feel it maybe, because I mean, at me just hearing all this, right? It just sounds like overload. Like, I'm so impressed that you've made it through all this. But do you feel like having the son might have actually, and I'm not trying to promote this, but I'm just saying, like, do you think having children, or in this case, actually helped push some positive shift in what you're doing?
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was living on welfare at the time. My parents kicked me out when they found out I was pregnant. They said, like, you can't have a baby.
Oh, they're that strict.
And
like Christian household.
well, I had a younger brother and sister, so they were thinking of them, and they were still in school and everything. So I moved out. I got my own apartment. Throughout my pregnancy, I worked and I saved money. I saved money for the apartment, bought all the stuff I needed, dishes.
Wow, you go, girl.
Like all the stuff. And so I was living, but I had to quit my job after I had my son, because obviously I needed to take care of my son. And so I decided to go back to school because I wanted to give my son a better life.
Wow.
And I found a program for single moms, and it was basically like correspondence courses that you took, but you actually, instead of submitting the lessons through mail, you did them right at the school, and the teacher marked them and, gave you the feedback right there.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was a really cool program, and it took me a total of 4 years to complete my high school education through that program. But I also, during that time, had taken like the prerequisite courses for university, because I decided to become a high school math and English teacher.
Okay, we pause on that real quick. What made you go with the teacher?
I've always liked helping people.
Oh.
And when I was in high school, my math teacher, he was horrible. He didn't know how to communicate the knowledge that he had. He was brilliant, but he was a horrible communicator. And so I wanted to change that and actually find ways to teach the students how to learn math.
Wow.
And math was always my favorite subject, and math and English, those were my two favorites.
I was going to say, I mean, in your bio, you mentioned English teaching. And I'm like, wow, math teacher too.
So anyhow, so I had to become a high school teacher, you have to choose 2 subjects. And so I chose math and English. And, I was trained in both areas. And I actually taught math and English for 3.5 years. I had to move away to do it, but whatever, Then I quit my job after that and moved back to my hometown, just because I missed my family and my friends so much that, I needed to be home. And I've mentioned this in other podcasts, and I've mentioned this in articles that I've written. I returned to prostitution because it paid more than teaching.
And how old are you at that point?
At this point, I was, let's see, I think I was 29 when I graduated, so 32.
Okay.
Yeah, so 32 at that point. So I did that for a couple of years, and I was in an accident. I almost lost my leg. My son and I moved. I got really depressed again, my self-esteem, because of my surgery on my leg. I had 2 operations on it, and it left a very, very horrible looking scar and caused my leg to be, I guess you could say, slightly deformed, which it will be that way for the rest of my life. So that was a real blow to my self-esteem, and I fell back into my depression, and fell back into my old habits of, turning to drugs to kind of deal with things. And my son was in high school at that time, and I wasn't giving him a very good environment at home to live in. And so he decided to move out. And
How old was he at that point?
he was 19 when he moved out and basically disowned me for 3 years.
Wow. And he didn't understand, obviously, the history.
Well,
not that that's an excuse, but I mean.
No, he didn't fully understand, how like one traumatic event can lead to other,
Oh God,
events
yeah.
and negative
if left unchecked,
everything else. And it's a snowball effect, really. And
exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Like that snowball effect, man. If you don't check that snowball and it keeps rolling downhill, it's going to pick up steam. It's going to pick up more material. It gets bigger and bigger, and it's like, wow. I mean, that is you've been on a roller coaster ride, girl.
Right. So my son was circling back to the earlier comment I made about suicide. So when I started blogging, I wrote about my suicide attempt, which happened when I was 15. And after I obviously wasn't successful in my attempt because I'm still here, which is a good thing.
Thank goodness. Thank you for being here.
Yes. And so I ended up writing my first really, really good poem after that whole incident. And you can find it. It's on my Wording Well website. It's called
let me switch over.
In One's Eyes. So if you search...
Is that on your portfolio?
No, you won't find a link to it. You'll have to actually, I think, type in, just In One's Eyes. If you type In One's Eyes, it should come up.
Okay. Well,
there we go.
There we go.
This is the poem that I wrote, and I know this poem off by heart, and people love it. And so anyways, my suicide attempt, that happened when I was 15. And then I started writing poetry as my own way of trying to release some of my emotions. And later, when I started school, after I had my son, and I was in that program for single moms, the main teacher that I had, she was actually previously trained as a counselor. And she took me aside one day and she said, like, what's going on with you, Lorraine? I know there's something going on. Like, you suffered some kind of traumatic event,
trauma,
or abuse or something in your life. She said, can we talk about that? And I said, yeah. I said I was raped when I was 14.
Well, she's the first person,
and she was
that
the first
really
person
ever asked you that.
I ever really, she was the only one who ever knew something was wrong. She encouraged me to seek professional counseling, which I did. And my first counselor, we used the books called The Courage to Heal. Mm-hmm. It's a textbook accompanied by a workbook with a lot of exercises to do. And each week, we worked through, each chapter and each of the exercises. And, she really started helping me on my healing process. And one of the things that they do suggest is to write. Writing is a big form of therapy. And so, I had already been doing that with my poetry and, with writing short stories and, different other things that I had written. And so, but I still, despite all of the, the things that were going on, I still occasionally had suicidal thoughts. And when I would think about killing myself, I would think about my son. And he was the only reason that I never attempted suicide a second time. My son has saved my life more times than I can count.
So thank goodness, obviously, for him coming back after 3 years and you two reconnecting.
Exactly. And, those 3 years that we spent apart, the first year was the absolute worst of like probably my whole life, because I became addicted to crack cocaine for 10 months. That was when I hit rock bottom.
And this was after the poem?
This was, oh yeah, the poem that happened when I was like 15, 16.
And real quick, I don't want you to lose the spot, but for our listeners, I mean, we called it out on wordingwell.com. That's her second site. That's her business site. But I just want to, could you read that for our listeners? Because obviously we kind of like skimmed right over it. And I thought it's a beautiful poem. And it's one of your first major poems you ever wrote down. So clearly it was impactful.
Oh, you want me to recite it?
Absolutely. Unless you want me to read it. I can read it.
No, it's okay. I know it off by heart. So
I was going to say.
No worries. As I search into her eyes, I see loneliness and fears. Her face seems so empty, except for those few tears. These tears keep on flowing more and more from her eyes. She makes no sound at all, only distant muffled cries. She wants to express her feelings on many a different thing, but she feels that if she does, only more loneliness it would bring. She wishes that she had a friend into whom she can confide, an understanding, caring person who would always be by her side. But instead, she has no one to turn to in time of need. She feels like she is trapped and would very much like to be freed. As I search deeper and deeper, I see more clearly into her eyes, because now the tears have stopped and no longer are her cries. They have disappeared, although not completely, for they continue deep down inside, but she now feels strong enough to regain her sense of pride. But again, her feelings weaken her, and again, I see a familiar tear. She seems so far away from me, but yet she seems so near. I extend my hand to comfort her. I know I'm reaching in the right direction, but all I feel is the flatness of the mirror because I'm staring into my own reflection.
Wow.
So I totally love the ending of that poem, and the twist of it being actually me that I'm talking about just makes me really love that poem, because, you know, essentially I could be talking about anybody, right? I could be looking at anybody, but then at the end, it's actually me. And it's funny because that day that I wrote it, I was standing in the bathroom looking into the mirror, just frozen and trying to find something in myself that had worth. I was crying. My eyes were red and puffy. But I looked past that and I looked deep into my eyes. You know how they say the eyes are the window to your soul?
Absolutely.
And so I was trying to see something in myself that would prevent myself from a second suicide attempt. I was only, I think, 16 when I wrote that poem. Or I think I was 15. I think it was right after I had my suicide attempt that I wrote it.
Okay.
I had, again, gotten into a fight with my dad. I was crying. I ended up in the bathroom and I was staring. So once I wrote that poem, I thought, geez, I have some talent.
Yeah, I can't do this.
And
like, wow.
I thought, I've always enjoyed writing throughout my whole entire life. I've always loved reading and writing. Those are my two favorite things to do. They still are. And I thought, okay, so I don't think I should kill myself, because maybe I can share my talent with the world someday, somehow, some way. And so, that's, with the poetry, that's kind of what I do, is that I don't really write it for other people. I write it for myself, although I've written many poems for other people. Like when my cousin got married, I wrote her and her husband a poem. When my grandparents had their wedding anniversary, when my parents had an anniversary, I've written poems for them, and they're all on my author site. If you go to lorrainereguly.com, and you see in the sideboard, you can search for poetry. You just hit the poetry category right there under categories. No, right at the top there, Scott.
Okay.
Just select category.
Oh, there we go.
And if you choose poetry, then you'll see a list of, a bunch of different poems that I've written. I have packaged up a lot of my poems into 3 different collections. So
smart.
If you scroll down, you'll see like poetry collection number 3. And I mean, there's like, I don't know, there's probably like 14, I think, poems in that one, or there's 5 in that one. There's 4 and 14 or something in another. I mean, there's just so much I've written. There's posts that I still haven't even transferred from my other website to this one. I just got poems everywhere.
Yeah, your very first collection has 14 poems. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So that one has 14. And
I'm going to do a real-time tweet because your poem moved me.
Oh, thank you so much.
I always like to tweet anyway after the episode, but I feel like it has to be done right now. I have to do it right now. So, and you're sharing such a powerful story. I mean, obviously this is reflected in your book too, right?
It is. In From Nope to Hope, I actually included 5 true stories, 4 of people's suicide experiences, like with their either attempt or their thoughts, and 1 true story of a guy whose sister actually did commit suicide and the after effects that he and his family are living with. So yeah, I mean, if I just take a look at some of the chapters there's the chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5 are, my story, Raj's story, Farhan's story, and Helen's story. And then I end the book with the after effects of suicide, DK's story. And, in between from chapters 6 to 19, I share all of the different strategies and coping techniques that I learned that actually work in order to not only eliminate suicidal thoughts from your mind and to, help you overcome your depression, but also to help you just basically live a happier life. And that applies to anyone, whether they suffer from depression or not. So this book is technically a self-help book that anyone can use, really.
I love that.
And chapters 8 and 9, I turned into blog posts. So they're actually available for free on Wording Well. Chapter 8 is called Change Your Mindset by Using Positive Affirmations.
Now, are these available under your resources or?
They're, I don't know if I've listed them on my resources or not.
What was the title again?
I just type in positive affirmations and it should come right up.
Yeah, give a little love here to our YouTube watchers once this goes live. So
yeah, for sure. So positive affirmations is actually a technique that I didn't discover until after I turned 40, after I started blogging. And it has been the single best strategy or technique that I have used in my daily life ever since I learned about it to help move me on the path towards positivity and success. And the next chapter, it says to use meditation, the law of attraction, and visualization. And
I'm a big supporter of that.
And there's a link to, these 2 posts are interconnected, as well as, talking about my book and everything else, because, obviously I wanted to promote my book. And so in order to do that, I thought, well, I'll give away a free chapter or 2 and, share, so people know how I write, what my writing style is, what kind of information I have to give to them. And they can see that, oh, hey, this is really good stuff. And, this is really valuable. And this woman knows what she's talking about. And she's, and I'm a living example of how you can go through a whole, pardon my language, but a whole shitload of
there's no
crap
party. I don't edit. Don't worry
and
about it.
and still come out on top. You know,
Yeah.
like whether it's drugs, prostitution, addiction, gambling, alcoholism, jail time, physical abuse, you know, any kind of stuff that's going on in your life, you can overcome it. You can change your life, and you can eventually be happy. And I know this for a fact, because for the first time in my life, I can actually say, hey, you know what? I'm happy now.
So with you being happy now, and let's be real, how long would you say you could actually really say that? How long has that been in effect for you? Because somebody else, there might be listeners out here who are struggling right now.
For about 4 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
About
So
four,
it took you a big chunk of your life.
Yeah. Since my son and I reconnected in 2012, it was in late 2012 that we reconnected, and it was in January of 2013 that I bought my laptop and started my first website.
Wow.
And this time the snowball effect was positive. I reconnected with my son. We got together. Christmas came and went. It was awesome. January came. I bought my laptop. I started my blog. You know, a year later, I started my business after I had started earning money freelancing. That very year, I published my first book. Then I started helping other people publish their books.
Lorraine, it sounds like you just
like snowball, positive, positive, right? But that's because I learned about positive affirmation.
I was going to say, it goes back to the law of attraction, right? If you are dwelling in the negative, you're going to attract the negative. If you're dwelling in the positive, you truly can. I know sometimes it sounds hokey to people, but it's like, just try living in the positive for a while.
It's so true. Like when I heard about these positive affirmations, I was so skeptical. Like, Scott, seriously, I'm like, okay, this sounds too good to be true. Like, are you serious? Like,
well, I mean, did you ever watch the movie The Secret?
I didn't watch the movie, but I've heard about it, and I've watched the video and read snippets of the book.
Yeah, so it's the very first time. This literally came up on a podcast the other night, so I think it's just powerful that you're talking about this, because your episode's probably going to come out right after that discussion, so it's kind of tie over together. Cool. But the first time I watched that movie was like 6 years ago, and the first time I watched it, I'm like, what is this hokey crap? Like, I'm like, okay, I need but you know, I was struggling at the time with some business goals and stuff like that. So it's like, you know what? It can't hurt, right? Start putting in the reps, start trying to read positive affirmations daily. I had apps, you know, I bought a deck of cards that was all positive affirmations. Actually,
oh, cool.
Actually, hold on a second. This is 52 affirmations to unleash your brilliance. Actually, I got this at a mastermind group that I went to. So the author is Jeffrey Combs. So, but yeah, see, a whole deck of cards, 52 affirmations.
Well, you'll have to sit there and do, read some of them off. Read about 4 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm giving you an idea. Like a marketing guy can't help it. I'm like,
I love this stuff.
Yeah, you need to make a deck for yourself.
Yeah, I totally do. I'm a card player, so yeah, that's
a product you could sell. Because it's not just about making the money. Let's pause on that, right? It's about, you have a powerful history. You have a powerful story. You are going to connect with people way differently than I ever could in honestly, in this suicidal realm, right? That people looking for help. And so obviously you creating a deck of cards, obviously you don't need, this is just way to inspire me, right? So I have, as one door closes, another door opens. There are no accidents. So that's one card. Here's another one. I'm just randomly picking. I attract to my reality like-minded entrepreneurs who I can develop into 6- and 7-figure income earners. Now, this guy's a business coach. So some of these cards are obviously tailored to people who are trying to get motivated and get inspired. He's actually a big coach in the network marketing world. Because one of my side hustles, I have a team with the Isogenics company, and he's one of their big, freelance, whatever, independent entrepreneurial coaches. But here we go. I like this one. I no longer ride the emotional roller coaster. I am in my peace. I think you can connect on that one.
Yeah. My life's been a big roller coaster. But when you were saying about the business affirmation there's affirmations that you can create for all areas of your life. Whether it's, health, like if you have certain health goals, if you have business goals, if you have spiritual goals, if you have, relationship goals, like any area that you could possibly think of in your life, you can create positive affirmations for those specific things that you want to improve.
Yeah, here you go. You said you just started on health, right? My health and my peace are my greatest sources of all my prosperity. Because I tell people all the time, your health is your true wealth. Okay. You can always make more money. But if you're not taking care of yourself and putting your health first, how are you supposed to have the energy and the capacity to care for others and take care of others in your life? Right.
Exactly.
I think that's what motivated you to step up and put in the hustle, because once you reconnected with your son, it's like, okay, I got to make it happen. Right. You can't lose him again. That's what I'm hearing anyway.
Exactly. I would be completely devastated if anything ever happened again with us. But I know it's not going to, because we are in a solid place now, and we are both doing positive, happy things with our lives. And there's, I look at my book that I wrote. I look at it all the time, and I read it, and I think, okay, well, what do I need to focus on today? Like on days when I'm working on my business, I use the affirmation, a positive, successful woman lives inside me, and today that woman is running my business.
Nice.
Doors of opportunity and abundance open to me now. My financial abundance overflows today. On days where, even though might not be true, you say these affirmations anyway, because they will come true.
Well, the biggest thing
skeptical part sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
But no, go.
Skeptical part that I had when I first heard about these.
Calvin agrees.
And it's like, but the way that I've learned how they work by repeated repetition daily, over and over and over again. If you tell your subconscious something often enough, it is going to manifest itself and make it a reality. So by telling yourself something over and over again, it sinks into your subconscious. Your subconscious then, which you have no control over, it fights to make these things a reality. So the universe works with you, for you, to make it happen. And that's why, when I learned about the laws of abundance and the laws of attraction, and, how the universe it's constantly listening to what's going on in your mind and watching what's going on in your life. And it sees how you respond to certain things. And when you start changing your responses to the situation, and you try to make it positive, and you put forth that effort, it responds likewise, and good things start to happen. And, some people, they can attribute this to their, their higher power, their faith, their God, whatever you choose to believe in. Because I'm not here to dispute religion or anything like that. I was raised a certain way. I don't necessarily agree with every way that I was raised and taught. So I formed, my own set of beliefs over the years, and I've taught my son to think for himself and believe whatever he wants to believe.
True.
So everybody will believe what they want anyways, but the undeniable truth of the matter is that good things will happen to you as soon as you start putting forth a little bit of effort to make them happen.
Well, I'm glad you're hitting on this. Because this is actually a great way to start progressing our show towards the close, because obviously I'm about to leave on vacation and we've been going for a while, but I don't want to cut you short, because I love all this content, because I'm constantly preaching. It doesn't have to be the laws of abundance, the laws of attraction, but positive mindset, right? Our mindset drives everything. And I love the fact that you didn't want to clarify anything on religion, right? Like, it's just like, it's what you have faith in, right? It doesn't have to be like, I'm not overly religious, but if you don't have faith in yourself,
you have certain beliefs, and those are your beliefs. And,
exactly. And this is a universal truth that you're hitting on here.
Right. Yeah. And it applies to everyone.
In the end, it's like, if you can't put your own positive step forward in your, as far as positive daily mindset, you can't depend on other people. And I'll actually like to hear your answer on that, because you're somebody who went through so much.
Well, see,
and obviously going back in time, you trying to tell yourself this years ago, you probably would have been like, yeah, right, I can't do that.
well, you know, the thing is the mind is a really complicated yet mysterious thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my mindset and my beliefs that I had when I was 14 were shattered when I was raped. And so my whole belief system changed for the worse. And it wasn't until I learned, you know, I mean, different coping skills and stuff. Yeah, okay, those were all fine and great. But when I started learning about positive affirmations and actually how to change my entire belief system and how to change my mindset to not just become successful, but to become actually happy and happy with all areas of my life. I mean, it was mind-boggling, you know, and it was just awesome. And so I talk about positive affirmations like all the time. I love them. You know, honestly, I don't know where I would be without them. And I only wish that I had someone teaching me back when I was 14 about these things.
So would you, just because I have to definitely tie it back a little bit more to the business of what that you've created, right? The new professional prosperity that you've been building thanks to your affirmation work and your self-work and everything else. But do you find yourself drawn towards clientele that are maybe more niched in those areas? Or, you know, because you hinted at obviously helping budding authors, possibly other people trying to get these thoughts out of their head, and maybe even using the process of writing to grow positive experience in their life. So is this something that you're normally marketing yourself towards or targeting towards to help those types of people, or is that just part of it?
No, you know what? When it comes to my business, I help anyone who really wants the help. Like if they want help improving their manuscript or their ebook or their blog post or whatever, they'll ask me for help and I'll help them. You know, I'll edit their work. I'll maybe, you know, rewrite a couple of sentences or just change a few words and, you know, improve it, make it perfect. When it comes to book authors, they are the ones who do the majority of the work. They wrote the book. I'm just making their words perfect. I'm making their paragraphs perfect. I'm making their sentences perfect. And, you know, if it involves a little bit of rearranging, okay, then so be it. But those types of clients, like those are my clients who pay me. I don't go looking for them. I actually don't ever go looking for work. It just comes to me.
Thanks to the law of attraction.
Thanks to the law of attraction and my repeated affirmations of doors of opportunity open to me now.
Well, real quick, hold on. I got to pause here though. You have to admit this, because I've in the beginning, when I was new to the law of attraction, the law of abundance, a lot of these gurus who preach that, they don't spend enough time focusing on the daily work necessary to make that happen. And I think that's something you already hit on, but I just wanted to pause there for you to reiterate that to these other people. Like, hey guys, yes, it's important to have that positive energy, but we're reiterating the fact that you literally got to put that in and day out. Okay.
Oh, for sure.
It's
like,
reprogram.
Yeah. I mean, like I have a little routine where I'll wake up, I'll make my cup of tea and, you know, add my honey with my mixture of cinnamon, which is something I recently started doing because of the combination. And I'll sit down, you know, in front of my living room window with my kitten. I'll sit there and I'll have my cigarette, my cup of tea, and read through my list of affirmations. And, you know, as I'm waking up, I'm mentally, like, literally changing my mindset so that I can approach the rest of the day in the right state of mind. Because you know how, like, when you first wake up, you're kind of like a little groggy and you're like, oh, maybe I need another half an hour's sleep or even 10 minutes, or, you know, like, oh, I want to finish that movie last night that I fell asleep watching, and, you know, like I want to do this. And it's like your thoughts are kind of jumbled all over. Meanwhile, your to-do list is sitting on your desk and you're like, okay, well, I have all this stuff to do. And, you know, at that particular time you wake up, like you're not in any mood to do it. But after you have your coffee, your tea or water, breakfast, whatever you do, you know, when you're showering, you get dressed, and then you're like ready to attack the day and be like, okay, you know, like I am unstoppable. This is what I'm going to do. And, you know, and then you look forward to your reward at the end of the day. Like maybe it's watching a movie or your favorite show, or going out to a, you know, nice restaurant for dinner with your family or friends, or, you know, whatever. Like you put these kind of thoughts in place, and, you know, and then when the day is over, you can take a look at your day and say, yeah, you know what? I did it. I did everything I was supposed to, or, you know, most of the things I was supposed to. I did it with, you know, integrity, and I'm proud of myself for what I've accomplished, and, you know, I'm on the right path. And you just reaffirm to yourself that what you're doing is right and good, and you just, you know, prepare yourself for the next day. And it's just one continuation. Like when I did my podcast earlier, I did a podcast earlier this afternoon with another girl, and I'm just going to I don't know if I can oh no, I can't access it right now because
What are you trying to do?
I don't know. You're on my screen. So
yeah, hold on. Let me stop
can't.
share.
Oh, here we go. So let me just, I made a video actually, because a 5-minute inspirational video, because I was writing this article, and it was all about time, and I thought about regrets. And then I was answering this woman's questions I was looking at what kind of things she wanted to ask me during her podcast. And I ended up writing a 6-line poem called One Day. And I want to share it with you. I want to end.
Yeah, let's hit it.
I want to end this on a really good note, because
I'm loving it.
You don't want to have regrets, right? Like if you ask a person on their deathbed what they wish they would have had, it's not going to be more money. It's not going to be more sales in their business. It's not going to be things like that. They're going to say time. I wish I had more time to live. And so I wrote a poem called One Day. You tell yourself, one day I will, and you fill in the blank. For example, one day I will sit down and write my memoirs. One day I will be happy. One day I will have no regrets. One day I will accomplish whatever it is I want to accomplish. Make one day every day. Otherwise, one day will never come.
Wow.
So that's how I'd like to inspire people by, you know, saying basically take one step today towards your goal, whether it's reaching out to someone for help, whether it's, you know, writing down that first outline for your chapter for your book, which I can later help you publish, or, you know, whatever it is, take one step towards your big goal.
Well, teaser on that as we close out the show is that I've made the official commitment that I have to at least start my book project this year. So
ooh,
I've had multiple people tell me since launching this show, and just people I've known for years, because I've had the crazy lifestyle shift from, you know, farm kid to business world to leaving it all and being a firefighter out west doing wildland firefighting in the mountains with the federal government, to coming back again and then trying to figure out this entrepreneurship thing. So I have a few stories to share, and someone's like, dude, you got to put a book out on that. And I'm like, really? Okay.
People love true stories, Scott.
Yeah,
you know what? And that's a fact, because honestly, when I first started sharing stuff about my life online, I had no idea what I was doing blogging. So I just wrote about my life because that's all I knew about. People started saying, oh my God, like, I can't believe you're writing about this. This is so interesting. You're so honest. You're so authentic. This is awesome. Like, I love hearing about your life. And it's like, what's so great about my life? You know?
Well, it's because back to your truth.
I've lived it. But now that I have shared so many different aspects of my life and so many different experiences that I've gone through. I mean, people look at me and they see me as an inspiration. Whereas I was afraid that I was going to be shunned and stereotyped for like admitting that I was a prostitute at one point. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe the positive responses I was getting. Just because you did one thing in the past, it doesn't define who you are today.
No, I agree with that.
And so like, I mean, I'm using my talents now with writing and editing, because that's truly where my talents lie, is in words, whether it's speaking, writing, editing, helping other people improve their words, or anything to do with words. That's what I love doing. And I love helping people. And so I still love teaching, and I teach people, through my website, through my books, through different videos and podcasts and everything else that I could be doing. And so, just if you find your passion and you can like just use that to create a business, which I did. I mean, like, I just don't know how come more people don't do that. And becoming an author, I mean, I think it's so great that you have made that commitment to yourself and have told other people this is the year that you're going to do it, because that's going to hold you accountable.
That's one of the advantages of the podcast. I've announced it to the world.
You've been promising, right?
Yeah.
So, now it's time to, set up an outline for writing, and, a timeline for how long it's going to take you to write it. And then, time for your editor to edit it, and then time for formatting and then putting it out there for sale, and then you're going to be promoting it. And I think it's absolutely wonderful, because people respond to true stories so well.
I definitely agree with that. I love true stories.
So congratulations on making that commitment. And I truly hope you choose me as your editor, because, if you ask Max, I am one of the best.
I truly, going back to the point of universe and law of attraction, is that as I started getting myself more considering it, making a serious project, I've literally talked to in the past 6 months, just on this podcast, like people I've had on here, like all of a sudden I've met editors, publishers, people who believe in self-publishing. Some people don't believe in self-publishing. I'm like, okay, this is now becoming a repetitive thing here. I'm like, okay, I keep talking to people who do these things now and never planned on talking to them on the podcast. It just comes up like, oh, that happens to be part of your business. Wow.
See, the universe is trying to send you a message, Scott.
Yeah.
You better start paying attention to it.
It's funny. So, and it's funny because I've a friend of mine, she's like, and actually I don't want to detour any further because I have like 5 minutes prepared for another podcast, my last one before we go on vacation. I thought it was going to be you, but then I threw one more in because I can't let my listeners down. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. Once this airs, it'll be after the vacation anyway. So, but the point here is that they're like, you know what? Why would you write a book? Who's going to read it? And I said, maybe I need to write the book to get everything out of my brain, and whether people want to read it or not. I was like, trust me, I've bought books that suck and I still went back and read them again. So I have people, trust me, that will definitely want to read it, because actually a friend of mine also said, we got these new services now that you can just submit audio files to, and they'll, what do you call it?
Transcribe it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like the one editor woman, publisher woman said, Scott, she's like, if you went back, because I now have well over 150 shows online. She's like, I guarantee you, if you just submitted your episodes, you probably have a book in there about the firefighting, experience, just across all those shows. It probably little by little trickled in there here and there. And I was like, yeah, I definitely have, like with co-hosts like yourself, I've definitely said, oh yeah, you probably didn't know this about me. I did this, I did that. It's come in depending on the episode, some more than others. So I was like, okay, I probably have a lot of content already out there.
Yeah. And, and it's amazing what I find with podcasts is that you will reveal certain things about yourself without even intending to at the beginning of the podcast. Like this afternoon when I did that earlier podcast with Jess, she told me a little secret about her and her candy purchasing habit. And I ended up telling her a major secret that I never ever.
Oh, you two have a special bond now.
Anyone. And it just came out, and I don't know why. It was just, it just came out and it's unbelievable. And it's the first time I ever mentioned anything like that online. And it was like, oh my goodness. Like, where did this
I
come
could tell
from?
you, how many podcasts have you done now once we've aired this one?
Oh goodness. Like maybe a dozen or two.
Okay. So
Probably. Yeah.
it gets easier. I can tell you it's, now I launched this in September 2016. So we're coming up on a year and a half soon. And it's interesting. Actually, literally this past weekend, I passed the 50,000 downloads barrier. So I was like, sweet. It just slowly grows. I love it. But the beauty of podcasting is that even I myself have reminded myself the importance of getting more truthful and more transparent. It's not about me just talking about myself. It's that this has become almost therapeutic too, because I've, in the past 6 months especially, probably brought up more stuff that I never really talked to anybody about, because now I just don't care, man. It just drops the walls. You're like, whatever, dude, this is my show. And the beauty of marketing is that, dude, you can't, back to you in your book, you can't beat the truth. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Like, this is your life.
Exactly.
Right? So you'll attract the right
that's
people.
why people love true stories, is because you really, you can't, no fiction author can just create a book like this or can create a story about your life. But you're the one living your life. And that's why I say everyone has a story within them. Every single person of us, every single one of us, every person has a story. Why? Because they are the only people that can live their life. And have their own experiences.
So on that point of sharing truth, and obviously it's only us that can live our life, I love taking action, right? Because you've inspired listeners today. I like to think you've inspired listeners to take action, not just some positive affirmation, but setting goals, taking action. And I'm an action taker. I'm an adrenaline junkie.
And making one day every day.
Exactly, right? So on that note, I am definitely going to be doing some type of writing over this vacation, right? I'm not hard coding it, because I'm supposed to be having 10 days of skiing pleasure with my fiance in the mountains of Colorado.
Right.
Because this will be a 1-year preview to us having our wedding next March.
Congratulations.
We're coming to Canada for our wedding.
Oh, right on. Nice.
We're gonna do a heli skiing wedding in Banff.
Nice.
Out in Alberta. But anyway, back to taking action. So when I get back from vacation, and maybe we do this over email, whatever, but why don't we get on a call and we talk about what it's like to take action? Because like I said, I've met other editors and I haven't talked to anybody officially about doing anything. And I know it's still early in the game, but it's like, okay, let's commit, right? And if you wanted to, we can even do it live over Zoom. And then I'll post that to YouTube, and it'll be just a way to grow your brand too, because I don't want to hide anything. I want to put it all out there. Like I literally have,
I will definitely come back on your show and do this again.
We'll dig into the author life.
Totally. Yeah. Because, how to write a book. I mean, that's a whole nother episode in itself.
Exactly.
So
I just submitted you ever see here a 23andMe, the DNA analysis?
Oh, yes.
So I just submitted that yesterday. And the reason why is because I want to do it for a long time anyway, taking action. I'm a health nut. I talk a lot about health on this show. So, but then I've had on multiple times a expert in estrogenetics and estrogenics and all this hormone studies. So he's like, hey, he Instagrammed me 2 weeks ago saying, hey, Scott, I know you've been wanting to do the 23andMe. When you get that done, he's like, let's take action, man. Let's get a podcast back together. And he's like, I will analyze all of your results from a health perspective. And I was like, perfect, because we can put this out there. Maybe somebody else has been waiting around trying to hack their health and get healthier. Maybe this could be a tool to help them. So I'm trying to use my platform here, podcasting, to help bring more answers to the world. And dude, I know I'm the rookie when it comes to the author life, other than me blogging about the podcast stuff. So let's take action, man. Let's figure that out.
Yeah, I could totally help you with that.
And you've honored my listeners, our listeners now, because you're a co-host, but you've honored our listeners with just your powerful story. Okay. A reminder to our listeners, make sure you go to LorraineReguly.com or Wording Well and check out and get the book From Nope to Hope, How I Overcame My Suicidal Thoughts and How You Can Too. So beyond that, what would you like to do to sum up in final words of this show? I've had Everybody do it. Max has done it. Everybody does it. Like if you had to sum up everything, they forget everything else they heard. Maybe all of a sudden somebody happens to pop in at the end of this video or at the end of the episode. Like what would be some final words that you want to sum up for our listeners to make sure that they're just, I don't know, all-encompassing message for you to take action? I don't know. What do you got for us?
Think about what you really want out of life and take a step today to go get it. Because if you don't, you're going to regret it.
I'm loving that. No regrets.
That was poetic too. Did you?
Very poetic.
That? And I didn't even mean to do that.
I think you've been doing poetry for a while, girl.
Thumbs up. I'm telling you, I can write a poem like off the top of my head in 10 minutes, no problem.
I love it. Well, listen, hang tight. I'll give you a proper goodbye off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Lorraine Reguly of LorraineReguly.com, also wordingwell.com. Again, I already told you, take action. Even if you aren't somebody who's struggling with suicide, I feel like you need to get this book and learn about affirmations and taking action and overcoming and just hear her story from nope to hope, how I overcame my suicidal thoughts and how you can too. So again, ladies and gentlemen, that's another Live the Fuel podcast. Thank you for listening in. And remember, we're here to fuel your health, your business, your lifestyle. And remember, you too can live the fuel. Talk to you guys again soon.
Oh,
and you're free of the pod.
Scott. Thank you so much for plugging my book right at the end too. That was really wonderful of you.
I'm a marketing professional. If I can't do that for my co-host, who can?
You just promoted the heck out of me so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Well, it's kind of like a side benefit of being on the podcast. Hold on, let's see if we can get your video back on. Just to close out, because I have the video still recording. I always throw like extra content into the YouTube stuff. It's like that way it feels like more behind the scenes. Right. But since we're done screen sharing on the websites now, close that out. I'm not sure if your video will work again or not. That's in your menu options there. But yeah, it's at least I can do is do a little plugging for fun and help you grow your brand, right?
Oh, so there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate everything that you've done. And, you know, I really hope that your listeners will have had some kind of an impact from our discussion today.
You will definitely own that key word in my site, okay? Because I don't think we haven't had a lot of talks on this. And I think this is a powerful subject in relation to health and lifestyle awareness. I mean, you ended up hitting on all three main domains. Okay, let's be real. You obviously focused on your story and the negative but yet positive shifts in your health and your lifestyle, but also it tied right back to inspiring you to take action and build businesses and work with other people and rebuild your family. And like, just powerful show. I'm wearing the shirt Mic Dropper from a podcast conference I spoke at. Definitely Mic Dropper. Actually, the conference I met Max at. I met Max at the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference outside of Philadelphia. That's where I met Max. So
right.
Yeah. So just great job. I mean, and thank you so much for sharing all that truth. I mean, clearly you've done it before because you've already published a book about it, but.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to tell you this. The very first time I admitted anything really online about my life was in an exclusive article that I wrote for Sylvia Nuccio's website. The title is Rape, Drugs, and Prostitution, One Blogger's Journey to Success.
Jeez, that's a title.
Yeah, I know. It's a whole mouthful, right?
Wow.
And that's actually on my portfolio site as well. But yeah, I was so afraid of sending that to her because like she knew a little bit about my story. She just knew a little bit from talking to me and emailing me. And, you know, we were commenting on each other's websites for quite some time, reading each other's articles and things like that. And she wanted me to share my story with her audience. And I was just terrified. I thought, oh my God, these people are going to judge me. They're going to stereotype against me. They're going to hate me. You know, I had so much negative
Roll with
things. And I thought, you know what? Here's my thinking. If people find out something from me, I'm going to avoid a scandal because they won't be able to be like, hey, you know that really famous blogger, you know that really famous editor, Lorraine? Yeah. Guess what I found out? She used to be a prostitute. She used to be a drug addict. Like, yeah. You know what?
Too late. I already put it out there.
Who the hell cares? Like you cannot find anything to say about me.
Hey, you know what?
I've said it on myself.
And the best part is as you grow your brand, Yeah, I was 6:30 this morning. I got out of the house early because I'm leaving before vacation. I want to get some work done. Went up to the Starbucks and I'm just working there. And I see a couple of negative comments on my YouTube channel about a podcast. Someone saying that I talk too much. I got to let my other co-hosts. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. And normally I don't respond, but I respond. I'm like, listen, you know what? Whether you're a lover or a hater, you still watch my video. Number one, right?
Right.
So you can't please everybody. Number two, I was like, in the world today, there's so much negativity. I welcome you to come back, at least provide me some positive, constructive criticism besides me just saying that I suck as a podcaster or whatever you're saying here. Like, and if you're that much better, please share your podcast. Please share the actions you're taking to help change the world and help me influence me on how I could do a better job from your example.
Exactly.
Let's see if that guy responds, because I'm like, dude, I'm open to criticism. Okay. I'm my own worst self-critic. I know I'm not perfect. Plus that episode was 100 episodes ago. So I'm still getting better as I go, but at least I'm taking action in my life.
Yeah.
So I told him, like, dude, throw me some content, bro. What have you done? Teach me.
You totally did the right thing, Scott. You totally responded the best possible way you could have.
Yeah.
And that guy's going to be like, oh, shit.
Well, I've only done that one other time. I did that one other time like 3 months ago to another guy on the same exact video of one of these podcasts. That guy never responded either. I was like, I'm open to your examples of how to possibly do this better.
And, it's been my experience that when people become haters or trolls or things like that, it's because they are simply jealous.
Yep.
And they have nothing going on in their own lives, so they have to create drama somehow.
Well, and then the best part was the first time I responded to one of those guys, like I said, a few months ago, and then I did nothing after that, and he never responded. 5 other people over the next month and a half responded to that guy's comment and was basically saying, I actually love the episode. I don't know what you're talking about. I like Scott's style and the whole open conversational. It's two-way, blah, blah, blah. Because again, some people might want the boring Q&A format. Then go find another show. Exactly. I don't need to please 100% of the world. I have a specific target audience. We're trying to attract the right people. Your book, your brand, what you're trying to do is to try to attract the right people. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Take action.
And it's funny because the last thing I wrote on Facebook today was, you can't please everybody all of the time. Mm-hmm. That was my last status.
If you tried to do that, you would burn out. You'd be exhausted.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
and
impossible.
that's why I just, ignore the negative stuff, and focus on the positive. And like one of the chapters in my book is all about negativity and eliminating negativity and negative people from your life.
That's it.
And and it's tough to do when they're family members, but you know what? You don't have to have a better life.
I haven't necessarily removed them from life. I just don't reach out to them. I mean, they're welcome to reach out to me.
You don't respond to their negativity.
Right.
Or
exactly.
And just tell them because I have a huge problem like that with my dad. My mom, I love my mom so much. She's awesome. She's the best, but she lives with my dad. So if I want to see my mom, I have to see my dad. My dad's the type of person that he will find fault with any success or accomplishment of mine. Like when I wrote my book, not, oh, congratulations on writing a book. It's like, no, oh, you think anyone's going to read it? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, but you know what, dude? Screw you, bro. Again, what book do you have? What book do you have?
Exactly. And so, I just say to him, even when he starts to get picky at me, I say, Dad, if you're going to start, I'm going to get up and leave. Because I don't need to sit here and listen to it. We get to control what we allow in our lives. He's gotten better. Since I started speaking up towards him, he has gotten much better in his behavior towards me. Because you're an adult and you've been through so much in your life. You're like, I want to be surrounded by support, not critique and criticism. Exactly. Unless it's healthy, productive, and constructive criticism. Right. Exactly. So. I'm totally open to criticism. I mean, hey, I'm not perfect. I know. Well, we need to be. There's no such thing as perfect, right? That's something we have to correct ourselves on, right? There's no such thing as perfection. There should always be a consistent level of improvement in life. As soon as you think you're perfect, you've already failed. Exactly.
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Loving your vibe, girl.
So anyways, okay, well, you know what? You get back in touch with me after you've been on vacation and stuff. And
Yeah.
you want to
Oh, and do you guys, do you have like
concrete boundaries for your book?
do you have a worksheet, like template on your website that I should use, like a tool?
No, but you know what? Would I advise people to do, like, you haven't written anything yet, right? Am I correct?
No.
You're like pre-writing. Okay.
No, I have a title.
So okay, the title comes later.
I know.
So anyways,
The cart before the horse.
you can record your thoughts instead of actually writing them, or
Right.
you can use the text to speech, like in Google Docs. You can
Yep.
just turn that on and it'll do that for you. But brainstorm first all of the thoughts and ideas about the things that you want to include in your book. Once you have those, like I like to use the bubble
Like the
map.
grandiose ideas, the cloud.
Like use the main title. Okay, start with your title that you thought, and then make the branches all go off, and then make those sub branches of these branches, and just write down everything you could possibly think of. That's your first step.
Well, the thing is, I'm gonna voice it because number one, I'm actually traveling. I have a whole studio here, so I have a portable digital recorder. I have portable microphones because I'm gonna do some live podcasts out in Colorado. So I have my recording device. All I gotta do is take a break, sit down with a microphone, and talk to myself.
Right. So what you want to do is just list them point by point so that later you can just see, because I work with text. I need to see the words. I can't just hear the words. I need
Right.
to actually see them, because if I'm going to see them, I'm going to read them, edit them, make them, flow coherently. And so, list all your points that you want to cover. You can clearly do that, audio type, no problem. And then once you have all of those points listed out, what you'll do in order to start writing the chapters, you'll take those points and you'll kind of organize them into a framework, like, oh, well, this should come before this point, and this point.
Oh, I'm a huge outline format spreadsheet
right.
guy. So all I gotta do is I'll take those
everything,
files,
and
I'll
then
send them to Rev.
And then just boom, 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 start writing your chapters. Once you have that all written, you take it, you edit it, editor takes a look at it. Does it make sense? Everything else makes the words perfect.
So I like that. I'm gonna, that's what, cause I already know about.
Brainstorming is the very first thing, because you want to touch upon every single thing that you want to include in your book.
That's perfect because, like I said, my little hack is when I'm done, all the brainstorming, I'll just submit the file to rev.com while I'm on vacation, let them transcribe it for $1 a minute. And then they send me the file back, and then I can sit there and just chunk it out into the outline. And then I can look at it, I'm like, okay, there's still more to be had. And then I can go back and do the same thing again, backfill, and then go the same. There you go.
Yeah, perfect. Sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, because I work with words. I don't work with the audio part of it. But I do tell people that, use the, because even I started using the text-to-speech feature on my phone for text.
Yeah, I use it.
Like, so easy to talk rather than to type, to text all the time. And I actually have to thank Max for that, because I gave him shit for using his. I said, Max, with your Southern drawl, your words aren't transcribed properly by this app, and it's coming out all jumbled. And so, so we had a big discussion about that. But anyways, you got to go. I got to go. Right. And I will definitely, stay in touch with you and help.
Oh, and trust me, I'll let you know when it airs. Like, I really banked up a lot of podcasts the past few weeks to cover the vacation. So I think we're at least probably closer to 3 weeks out. I got to double check the schedule. So
no worries. Anytime, whenever you have the links and stuff, just send them to me. I'll be sure to, link back to them on my website and
you'll get blasted everywhere. I hit Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So I blast everything plus my email list. So
Yep. Same here. All
right.
So perfect. Sounds great. Have an awesome vacation.
Night. Thank you.
And I look forward to reconnecting with you again.
Absolutely. Take care.
Okay. You too, Scott.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.